Conditions off the pavement are always changing, so why settle for a light bar that just turns on and off? The Rigid Adapt is a revolutionary new light bar that will automatically select from 8 beam patterns that range from a widespread 90-degree flood to a 15-degree spot based on your vehicle's speed. Try that with your knockoff light bar. A dash-mounted controller allows the user to toggle between adaptive mode, beam patterns, and RGBW accent lighting. With Adapt, it's easier than ever to own the night.
Live from the Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park in Chandler, Arizona, we say good evening, race fans, and welcome to Racecraft TV's continuing coverage of the virtual off-road racing series Pro 4 Championship. The 2022 campaign rolls on into the Arizona desert, and as always, we're happy that you're hanging out with us on a Wednesday evening. Alongside Ian Fisher, my name is Evan Pasoko. Our producer downstairs is Joshua Lee, bringing us to you, and we are set for our third unique challenge of this season. We have seen these drivers do battle at a couple of different racetracks so far, Bark River, Crandon, which we'll see as well later on for the championship. This is the one and only stop here in Arizona, so it's going to be critical for these drivers, if this racetrack suits their style, to pick up the points in the double features tonight, because this is a rare one and done for the season.
Well, you said suits their style, Evan, and I think that's going to be the big challenge for a lot of these drivers tonight. I know for a fact that a lot of these drivers, for lack of a better term, this isn't their favorite track to come to, really. So it's going to be interesting to see which one of these drivers can kind of put aside their negative feelings possibly towards this track and go out there and dominate tonight. We've seen Connor Berry missing the last week. He's got to get up there and get a good run for this week as well. So it's going to be interesting to see. This place is very tight. It's very narrow. I wouldn't even say it's technical. It's very argy-bargy, Evan, to say the least. So I think we're going to see a lot of that here tonight.
Yeah, we compare it to some of the other tracks that we've seen this year, where you have those rhythm sections and some other parts of the racetrack that require a lot of finesse. Not a ton of that here at Wild West. Of course, you take a look at the bit of a whoop section, if you will, that heads down to the back end of the racetrack. But here at Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park, it is a very wide racetrack. I mean, this racetrack's going to give these drivers plenty of room to be able to fight with one another. Of course, racing over the course of this 4-mile circuit. But I mean, all those turns are wide. You're gonna have a lot of hairpins, but not tight, low-speed hairpins. And they're kind of wide, progressive. You can throw the trucks in there, so it may not be the most technical of evenings either, because these drivers may just be rewarded for aggression.
Well, you mentioned that they're kind of wide sweeping turns, and they're not really, like you said, technical turns. It's not like you're going in there like we were at Wild West last week, where you're going up the hill, going down the hill, and really slowing the truck down. It's, like you said, a lot of momentum throughout the entire course as we take a look at our point standings here.
Yeah, Parker Retzlaff is the man that they are all chasing, and it should be no surprise through the opening 2 weeks of competition that the championship lead is still tight, but we have seen a clear separation. Retzlaff at 2:04, 6 points clear of Connor Berry. That is not a lot. Now, you get to Briley, you get to Dashley, you get to Cody Retzlaff even, right? You start to get to those 10-point intervals, but Parker and Connor nose to nose through 2 rounds. This could very well be another season of horse competition where the top 2 in the championship stay on top of each other all season long. And you take a look at live with Parker down on the racetrack right now. He's currently top 3 in speed through the qualifying session.
And it wouldn't surprise me if it came down to the end of the year to these 2 drivers, Parker Retzlaff and Connor Berry. It's no surprise, Evan. You and I have followed the short course world for almost a year now, at least for myself personally, and it's always been a battle between those 2. Maybe throw Nicholas Dashley up in there, maybe even a Tyson Miller from time to time, or one of those other drivers. But it seems to be always Connor Berry and Parker Retzlaff always going toe to toe when it comes to these championships.
That is going to be key as well. Of course, we closed in on the halfway point in this championship here with this afternoon's race. We talk about some of the double headers that make up, in fact, a majority of the schedule. We'll be going, back to Wild West Park. That was last week. That was another one-off. This is another one-off, and then we start to double them up with Bark River and Crandon returning for rounds number 5 and 6. Those we may have a little bit of an idea and can look back on some precedent to see what's going to be in the mix tonight. But for the first and only time of this year, it's race night at Wild Horse Pass. Let's go trackside and take a look at your starting grid for heat race number 1. Connor Berry up front. And this is interesting. Parker Retzlaff ends up 3rd on the board. That'll seat him 2nd on the grid for this first heat. Trenton Briley, Justin Kay, Bodie Cryer, and Tyson Miller are in our top 6.
Going back from there, Terry Miller is going to be the 940 truck rolling off in the 7th position with Drake Miktog in the 518. It'll be an 8th. Sean Winkler in the 71 and 9th. And Paul Mikulachik in the 177 and 10th. Dennis Mickelson in the 978 will be 11th. And Ryan Linder in the 230 machine will be in 12th, Evan.
Then continuing on through, Cameron Bagasha going to be down in the lucky number 13 starting spot. Bo Albert in 14th. Daniel Aish 15th. And no time in the qualifying session for Nicholas Wellhouse means that he's going to be at the rear. That drops him back than I would expect. He was kind of a top 15 truck in the practice session, so no queue time is going to force him a little bit to the rear. Of course, in some of the other races, we've seen as many as 3 heat races to begin the nights, but based on the truck count for this afternoon, it will lock in at that number of 2 heat races tonight, 5 laps apiece. The magic number to open things up, it looks like, is going to be the top 4 to the feature, and we'll take a little bit more on the backside as we go racing in a couple of LCQs. But here's your first good look as they follow behind the iRacing official pace truck of this Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. Again, there are no real rhythm sections. It's kind of wide sweepers. This is the tightest turn right here, fittingly so right after the start-finish straight. That may be a place that leads to a lot of contact tonight, but the rest of them are pretty wide corners. You have options on if you want to enter wide, cut down onto the inside, or vice versa. And I think with the amount of trucks as well that are packed in, this thing can get aggressive and should be a real exciting night.
Yeah, and that tabletop over the start-finish line, too, Evan, is always a place to watch for as well. You sometimes see guys get caught up in the fence there, and we'll see if that happens any night if we go racing here.
Green flag is in the air for heat race number 1. They go over the tabletop now to the left hand. Turn number 1. Already a couple of trucks spinning out wide. They're going to ride that fence off the corner. But up front, the early advantage holds with your pole sitter. Berry now through the hairpin in turn 2.
Yeah, and it's for second and third here. Parker Retzlaff and Trenton Briley right next to each other all through that first lap, Evan. They've been really banging on each other, and Trenton Briley's been someone to watch out for here in the early runs of this season here in the iRacing Short Course Series. The Forest Series here, and he's been getting up there and making a name for himself as we see some trouble here with Bo Albert.
Bo Albert went up and over towards the rear of the field. He wasn't the only one with issues. It may have been Ryan Linder who took out some of the K-railing a little bit further on back down in the running order. It was actually Mikolajic who got into the K-rails there. He lost a bunch of time, so no major issues on lap 1 besides Albert up and over, but a lot of small bits of contact. This was the corner where all of that happened in. The other thing to keep in mind is that these are very short, very fast laps, right? Some 36, 37 seconds. These 5 laps in these heats are going to go really quick. So if you find yourself below that cut line to get started, you're going to have to hope for a really good start because you cannot afford to fall behind. There just simply isn't time to chip away.
Yeah, track position is going to be an absolute premium here tonight, Evan, in all of our races. And you kind of mentioned it, if you don't find yourself up towards the front of the pack early, you really need to either A, do something different to get yourself up there, or B, just really try to do the best that you possibly can outside that top 4 to set you up for good positioning in the LCQ. To try to make it through to the feature that way as we ride on board here. What we were for just a second with Tyson Miller, just sitting outside that top 4 right now.
He's just sitting on the outside looking in the number 5 position as they run right now. Of course, he is trying to catch up to Bodie Cryer. Cryer sitting in the magic number 4 spot, but a decent amount of separation amongst your top runners. You can see very easy where Miller is in the bright yellow truck. He is the cut line. He's the first driver on the outside looking in for the top 4 transfer as they run, and Miller may more so be concerned with the other drivers behind him right now. Tyson Miller, for example, right on the bumper of Terry there. Drake Matag, you got Sean Winkler as well. A bunch of trucks fighting. That's not going to be for nothing, of course, if those drivers can advance as the white flag's in the air. All those finishing positions would help them out in the LCQ.
Yeah, we mentioned how important getting into that LCQ and the track position is going to be. So all those drivers back there in 5th through about 7th, you mentioned, and even 8th there, throw Winkler in there, are still battling for that spot. But one driver that hasn't had to do any battling so far this evening, Evan, is Connor Berry, who's going to be looking like he's going to walk away here with your first heat win.
He has been so strong and so confident, and at the front of the field, checkered flag for Connor Berry. The first strike of the night is thrown, and as he tries to challenge Parker Retzlaff for the title lead, he bests him by a significant margin in this first heat. So Berry wins and advances. Retzlaff will come home in 2nd, along with Trenton Briley and Bodie Cryer. They're moving on. Those are going to be your top 4. That means that the Millers, along with Matag, Winkler, Mickelson, Aish, all going to be headed to the LCQ. Wellhouse, McGessick, Lindner, Mikolajic, Albert, and Kay. Ready to do it all again, though? Let's take a look at the other half of tonight's field and look at your starting grid for heat race number 2. Alex Bergeron, best of this group. That's second best overall in Q. He'll bring us to the green flag alongside Nicholas Dashley. Tom Grady, Cody Retzlaff on row 2, ahead of Keith Jeffrey and Aiden Bierling.
In 7th position, we'll have Cody Winecki in the 903, Leighton Kramer in the 18, Don MacArthur in the 116, and 9th, Scott Kerr in the 84. In 10th, Zach Knowles in the 933 and 11th, and Ryan Miller in the 51. We'll roll off 12th, Evan.
3 more are going to cap this one off. You'll have Drew Hidalgo in the number 13 starting spot, Robert Henderson's 027, and then Nathaniel Davis through 15th position. So top to bottom of your starting grid for heat race number 2. Quick takeaways. Only Bodie Cryer of the drivers in the first heat started outside of the top 4 and raced their way in. Now, that may be a bit of a deceptive stat. That's all because Justin Kay had major issues after supposing to be starting 4th position. So what that tells me is even if I'm on row 3, row 4, I need a good start because those drivers back in the back didn't really get much going, too busy fighting with themselves for the majority of that first heat.
Yeah, and it's just hard to get any positions made up, Evan, when you're back there in the back. Not only you have to deal with all the other trucks in front of you, but it's hard to pass once you get up there and get into a position where you will make yourself in some of those transfer positions. And nobody's going to give them to you easily either. So you really just got to do what you can here. Try to earn as many of those positions as you can, and maybe look ahead forward to the LCQ if you can't get there.
Pace truck going to pull off and away this time. Let's see what Bergeron can do as the control truck. He's posted up to the inside of that blue number 23 of Nicholas Dashley. Slow roll as they come through turn number 4. Green flag in the air. It's heat race number 2. And a good jump for those top 2. They'll head off to turn number 1. Pretty clean through the midfield. A little bit of contact. Battle for 4th position is on. It's going to be a mix between the 525 of Retzlaff and the challenge to the inside. Jeffrey throws it in. There's contact, and up and over goes Scott Kerr.
Yeah, and right now Jeffrey holds on to that final transfer position. Kind of got pushed into the rest of the field there when you saw that stack up coming through that hairpin there. And yeah, it looks like Kerr was the unfortunate recipient of some trouble there. It looks like maybe Miller and Kramer got involved as well, Evan.
A lot of little bits of contact there. Big hit for Kerr. Of course, he's out of this race already. So is Miller. So is Leighton Kramer. So 3 drivers don't make it to the end of lap number 1. And now you look off of the back of the challenge in the battle for the transfer spot in 4th. Jeffrey's got it. Retzlaff and company want to take it away. Retzlaff right there on the bumper in 5th. You jump on board with him now. And now look at Aiden Berling. He's right there in 6th. Cody Weinecke. He's right there in 7th. It is a mad scramble for 4th position on back. Jeffrey cannot find any spacing right now, whereas up front, pulling away, is Alex Bergeron.
Yeah, Jeffrey's got no place really right now to kind of relax. He's got Retzlaff all over the back bumper with him right now, and if Berling can get some laps together, get some turns together here, I'm sure that he'll be right there with him as well. Right now, Berling's dealing with Weinecke all over his back bumper as well, Evan, so not able to get up to the bumpers of Retzlaff and Jeffrey as much as he'd like to, but Jeffrey definitely has his work cut out for him for the rest of this heat.
He is going to have to continue to work through the end of this one. But remember, short sprints already on lap number 3 of 5. A little bit of skywheelie action there for the Heatwave 88 to Keith Jeffrey. Pitching the front end of the truck up. No challenge for him, though. He continues on. And again, we jump on board with Cody Retzlaff trying to play challenger in this battle. Cody tied for 5th in the points with Zach Drapkin coming into this evening. Would really like that guaranteed spot in the feature if he can get there. Jeffrey also has an option now looking to the inside of Tom Grady. How worried are you about the pressure from behind? Because if Jeffrey challenges Grady for that spot, that could open things up. White flag in the air one more time around in Heat Race 2.
When you're such a precarious position as well, because you kind of mentioned it, Evan, you get up there with Grady and you start mixing it up, you could knock maybe even yourself, maybe both of you out of contention there for the transfer position. So I think if you're Jeffrey, you just got to stand pat, then also just kind of fight Retzlaff off there as well. And I'm kind of surprised that Retzlaff hasn't put any bumper to Jeffrey's there yet. I would expect to see it here coming through the final corner possibly.
Seems comfortable with it. There's a touchdown behind. Up front, it's Bergeron for the win. Jeffrey at the line will stay ahead. He tried to get the extra spot on Tom Grady. Wasn't able to do it, but he was smart. He saved that move for late. And therefore, Bergeron to pull the checker along with Nicholas Dashley, Tom Grady, Keith Jeffrey. They're all moving on to the feature. Retzlaff, Weinecke, Burley, Knowles, MacArthur, Salgado, the top 10. They're all going to be headed to the LCQs along with Henderson, Kerr, Miller, Kramer, and Davis. Just like that, we are through the 2 heat races and we are into the first of 2 LCQs. Top 5 will advance to the feature. We take a look at your 4 starting grid. So this is all based on a finishing position from the earlier heat. So Tyson Miller, first driver on the outside looking in from heat race 1. He's on pole alongside Terry Miller in 2nd. Drake Matag will start 3rd with Sean Winkler in 4th. Dennis Mickelson's P5 and Daniel Ace rounds out row 3.
And Nicholas Wellhouse will roll off 7th position here with Cameron McGishik to his outside in 8th. Ryan Linder in the 230 will roll off in 9th with Paul Mikulachik in 10th in the 177. And then Bo Albert, after the unfortunate heat race, will be shotgunning your field in 11th here for our LCQ, Evan.
So a much smaller field this time around. Remember, we've already punched the tickets for 8 trucks into the feature. Gonna send 5 more from this first LCQ grid. We'll send another 5 on the backside, and then we'll get set for the first feature race of the afternoon. These races stay at 5 laps in length. The only difference is, remember, the magic number goes from 4 to 5. So as this race begins, all eyes are on Dennis Mickelson. He's on the bubble in the green and black truck on the inside of row number 3. Pace truck off and away. Let's see what the Millers can do. On the front row, slow roll off of turn 4, green flag in the air, and it's a good jump for the 90. Side by side second, Matag comes in, now 3 wide for the race lead. Contact, the 90's up against the wall, and Drake Matag will force his way to the early race lead.
Yeah, and up in the background there, Aish, unfortunately, the 33 machine there went up and over, flipped over, got caught in the fence there, Evan. He had the tow to pit road. That's the end for his night early.
He will not make it into a feature race tonight. Meanwhile, the 940 of Terry Miller fought back with Drake Matag, got alongside. They were lockstep with each other for a few corners, but in the end, it's a hostile 518, all right, because Matag has secured possession of the number 1 spot in this LCQ. So Terry Miller's going to settle down to second. And how about Tyson Miller, who beat both of those trucks to turn 1, is in third. Oh, there's contact behind. It is Albert again. Bo Albert cannot catch a break tonight, and he got run over. For the 177 of Mikolasik, it was chaos in the battle for 5 and 6, and another big name out of this race early as we take lap number 3.
Yeah, he didn't even get, moved out of the way. He got thrown out of the way there. You kind of saw put on the hood of Mikolasik's truck and then just kind of tossed aside there as they went over the jump. And that doesn't mix up our top 5 any. Still Matag, both the Millers, Winkler, and Wellhouse now. And look at that, Mickelson and Mikolasik just battling for that 6th and 7th position. Evan, we'll see what happened here, I believe, to Bo Albert.
Yeah, there was contact initially, but there's the late hit, and that truck goes immediately up and over, and then he got stuck on top, which was really what made it worse, on top there of what was, I think, Mickelson, and he just got shot off the racetrack. I mean, Bo Albert, an absolutely rotten night, good speed in that truck, no doubt. But he is unable to get anything, and he will not be making it to the feature race here this afternoon. We race on, though, and your leaders have checked out, right? You got Matag up front, Miller and Miller. They've got a little bit of a gap. It's back here in 4th and 5th where things get interesting. Winkler's in 4th, but then Wellhouse is the driver you're looking for. He is the last driver in, and you're on board with his 15 truck. The difference maker is trying to be Dennis Mickelson. Hot on his heels, white flag, needs 1 more spot to make the feature.
Yeah, Mickelson looked to the inside there, wasn't able to get enough of a run here. It looks like he's probably going to have 1 more shot here and get to the back bumper of Wellhouse, but I think it might be a little bit too late here, Evan, for him as they come through the final set of turns here.
Final couple of corners, Mickelson overdrives it at the rear, so that's going to make that battle less close. And up front, Drake Matag worked for this one, winning LCQ number 1. And Matag is headed to the feature some 1.8 seconds behind him. You'll find the first of the Millers. Terry's in 2nd, Tyson's in 3rd, Sean Winkler 4th, and Nicholas Wellhouse hangs on. They are moving on to the feature. It is good night and so long to Mickelson, Mikolasik, Mageshik, Lindner, and Daniel Aish, the top 10. Bo Albert, a DNF, going to be the 11th and final truck on your LCQ number 1 results. There is 1 race left before the first feature of the night. Let's take a look now at the LCQ number 2 starting grid. Same thing, starting spots based on finishing in the 2nd of the heat races. So Cody Retzlaff finished 5th. He gets 1st on the grid for this one alongside Cody Wannicke. Aiden Berlead will start in 3rd with Zach Knowles in 4th, along with Don MacArthur and Drew Salgado, your top 6.
In 7th, we have Robert Henderson. 8th is going to be Scott Kerr. 9th, we have Ryan Miller in the 51 and Leighton Kramer in the 18 and 10th. Nathaniel Davis is going to be in the 7 truck in 11th, and Justin Kay will round out our 12 truck field here for our 2nd LCQ, Evan.
So look top to bottom of your starting grid. That last race saw Nicholas Wellhouse go from 7th to 5th, only the 2nd driver tonight in all of our races to start more than 1 spot below a transfer and to be able to advance in. So that does not bode well for Salgado, Henderson, Kerr, Miller, Kramer, everybody on the back couple of rows for this race. But things did get a little bit more physical that time, including in the battle for the race lead. I thought maybe the fact that the transfer number sits at 5 all of a sudden, Ian, might give the leaders a bit more confidence to not fight each other. That wasn't necessarily the case, so we'll see just how aggressive they're going to get, because this is their last chance. They're going to miss out on a lot of points later on tonight.
Yeah, you bring up a good point too, Evan. I was going to mention that when you're fighting through these heat races, you can have good position for the LCQ, so you don't want to throw away your race with one move or another. But here, now that we're down to our final LCQ, I think you're going to be seeing guys pulling out all the stops, going for everything they possibly can to try to get into the feature race tonight.
It'll be the final qualifying race of the night. Everything after this matters for huge amounts of championship points, as we have kicked off the second half of this 2022 virtual off-road racing series Pro 4 Championship. Pace trucks off and away. Cody Retzlaff has a big fight on his hands. Green flag in the air. We're racing at LCQ number 2, and out of shape was Aiden Berling. Warnicki now even out of shape and a flipper behind. It is major issues back in traffic.
Yeah, it's that one little kick of the sidewall there when they come over the start-finish line that's so far gotten 2 of our trucks here in LCQs this evening, Evan. At first it was Daniel Aish, and then Drew Salgado there had some issues coming across the start-finish line that time. And really that's going to shake up the back half of the field. But really didn't do much to our first half here. All of our leaders here, 1 through 5, battling for those transfer spots.
Yeah, it was a really poor start, in fact, for the blue 903 of Cody Warnicki, and he's not going to catch a break anytime soon because Donnie MacArthur all over him there. Had pretty good positioning, tried to get to the inside down there in turn number 1, wasn't able to do so. Now the tightest of the corners, hairpin-wise. Turn number 2. 3 is a fun one, though, because it's almost like a 230-degree corner. You go all the way past 180, point yourself back to the inside, and then you cut diagonally across those whoops there to go to the wide sweeping turn number 4 and line yourself up to go as somebody is way off track towards the rear of the field. And it was a real nasty corner for Leighton Kramer, who got shoved off wide. He'll now drop down the running order all the way to position number 10.
Yeah, this battle here, right here between Knowles and Miller has been something else for this final transfer position. They've been leaning on each other pretty much every single corner. You saw Knowles there trying to dive it in deep, trying to pay the favor back to the 51, and it might have hurt him a little bit now. He holds on to the transfer spot, but look at that here. We have almost a 4-way battle here for our final transfer spot, Evan.
This is where all of the excitement is, and Kramer's watching on. Knowles at the moment in possession of the final transfer, but he has got 3 trucks hot on his heels, including Ryan Miller, who is looking in the pink and white number 51 Ford. Some front-end damage on both of these trucks from a bit of the beating and banging and argy-bargy earlier. Look at that shot right into the rear. Miller goes as he tries to move Knowles up and out of the way. Knowles stands his ground well, but another big swipe to the back end. There is no patience in Ryan Miller tonight.
Yeah, Knowles is going to have to hang on here, Evan, because he made that move on the inside and the hairpin to get past Miller there. And you got to imagine that if Miller gets anywhere close to Knowles' bumper, you've already seen it a few times, he has no problems laying the doors right back to him.
Final lap, more than enough time to make the move as he continues to sit on the bumper. They're starting to get a little bit antsy behind. A big slide there as the 84 of Scott Kerr tries to move Justin Kay out of the way. Knowles looking like he's going to try to hang on. One final corner in the battle for the transfer as Cody Retzlaff will hang on. He dominates for the win at LCQ number 2, and a couple of trucks up and over at the line. Knowles will stay ahead as Miller, Kay, and Kerr into the fencing across the finish line. They tried. Zach Knowles, too strong, and Retzlaff, Burley, and Warnicki, MacArthur, and Knowles do advance. Means that Miller, Kay, Kerr, Kramer, and Henderson, along with Salgado and Davis, all going to be sent home.
And really, that's what we've expected so far through our LCQs and our heat races so far, Evan. And I was kind of surprised of how clean it was, except for those 2 little incidents we saw at the beginning of our run going into the start-finish line there. Really a lot of clean driving from these drivers. I expected a lot more argy-bargy than we've seen so far. But really, the moves have been made out on the racetrack, not with the doors, it seems like.
We didn't see a lot of, I would say, outward aggression, right? I think a lot of the drivers and a lot of the flips and rolls we saw was, just 4 or 5 trucks kind of getting slid into the corner over the time, and trucks are going to get hiked up, people are going to roll over, and things like that. But certainly in that last one, in the battle for the transfer, drivers were much more aggressive. I think the LCQ is always going to be the most aggressive show of the night, because you are missing out on so many points, right? By missing out on a double feature of feature races, that I think that's probably going to be the most outwardly aggressive racing we'll see tonight. But who knows? Because the first big batch of points is getting set to be handed out. Let's take a look at your starting grid for feature race number 1 here at Wild Horse Pass. It is the heat race winners on the front row, Connor Berry and Alex Bergeron, side by side to the green. Parker Retzlaff, though, your championship leader right there in third, with Nicholas Dashley in fourth. Trenton Briley and Tom Grady are on row 3.
Bodie Cryer will be in 7th in the 5 machine. Keith Jeffrey in the 88 Heatwave truck will roll off in 8th. Drake Matog in the 518 is 9th, with Cody Retzlaff in the 525 in 10th. Terry Miller in the 940 is going to be your 11th place driver, with Aiden Burline in the 013 truck rolling off 12th, Evan.
And then you'll find your transfers from the LCQs. Tyson Miller going to be alongside with Cody Wannicke as well. Sean Winkler and Don MacArthur. Nicholas Wellhouse and Zach Knowles, the 2 drivers who were able to stave off elimination as those 5th place transfers in the LCQs will round out a look at your starting grid. So a big story here in the championship. Of course, we talked about it coming into this evening. It was Retzlaff leading the points over Connor Berry, and then they had a pretty significant jump over everybody else. So Alex Bergeron trying to be a little bit of a spoiler here, and Retzlaff, of course, does not want to allow Connor Berry to close the gap. So let's see what the O2 is going to do. I think he's the big one here to watch.
Yeah, Connor Berry's going to have to do a lot here to get back what he lost last week as well. They still do have a drop week to these drivers have available, but Connor Berry has missed weeks, and you see it's hampering his lead in the championship right now. Right there with Retzlaff, and we'll see here. This is a chance for Berry to earn some very important points, Evan.
Pace truck off and away for the first feature race of the afternoon. We say let's go racing at Wild Horse Pass. Good jump for the 1 truck. Connor Berry, race lead into turn number 1. Bergeron behind. Oh, there's contact for 4th. And way to the outside wall goes Nicholas Dashley. He got moved way out of shape and drops 5 spots.
Looks like Zach Knowles had some issues there too. I don't know if he was the other truck back behind there, but you see him kind of sliding back towards the back of the pack. Now finds himself in the 16th position. I think he had a little bit of trouble as well, but just some fighting here going through mid-pack right now. You see that battle between Jeffrey and Miller there for about the 6th and 7th position, Evan, but the top 4 here are kind of checked out.
They are trying to check out and get an advantage this feature race. 15 laps in distance, and they're starting to stack them up towards the rear. A lot of contact you see in the distance there as the field cycles through at a turn number 1. They just can't get out of their own way. This battle is all for 8th on back. Look at them into the corner, 4 wide, hiking it up on 2. There is no patience, and I think a lot of that, though, is simply frustration. These drivers have been upset that they're kind of behind the 8 ball here, and driving like this is not going to catch you up any quicker.
Not only that, but they just have nowhere to go as well. You keep seeing how just jumbled up the rear end of this field is getting, and these drivers are trying to make moves up towards the front, maybe even up towards the mid-pack to try to improve their situation, and you just can't. Like you mentioned, if they're all back there fighting for position together, they're not going to get up to the leaders anytime soon.
So going to try to fight their way through, get into the conversation, of course, hoping for the midway point into which they'll get an opportunity maybe to close back in. But in feature race 1, it is the top speed up front that has separated things out. Impressive start, I'll say, for Bodie Cryer. Started in 7th, he jumps up to 4th. Even Terry Miller right behind started 11th up to 5th. So it goes to show you there is opportunity to make some moves, and man, I just love seeing them rip that wall, that little bit of a dirt berm that goes up to the fence as they come off of turn number 1. These drivers using every inch of this racetrack trying to optimize those lap times.
It took me a while to get used to it, Evan. It always looks like they're going to go up and over there every time they hit that berm, but I guess that's the fastest line around here, this Wild Horse Park, Motorsports Park here, because you see all the top drivers, Berry, Bergeron, Retzlaff, Cryer, and they all trying to take advantage of that berm like you mentioned there. So must be the preferred line through there, but like I said, it always looks like to me that they're about to flip over whenever they hit it.
Well, we've seen a couple of drivers flip over on that same spot. That one, though, more attributed to contact earlier in this race. But these drivers can hike it up at a wall like that, on a K-rail, on a berm. I mean, really anywhere on the racetrack. They can find some issues. Funny to say that at this point in the race, things have calmed down slightly. What you're looking at right now is that second pack. I mentioned that Terry Miller had a very good start, started 11th up to 5th. That's him leading this group here. Keith Jeffries behind him. Cody Retzlaff is there as well. But then Nicholas Dashley, 4th truck in line here, missing that left front fender. He is the one that got spit out on the opening lap, and he went from 4th to 8th. So Dashley is somebody who really wants to pick up some spots, but even he looks like he's starting to slip back from the trio in front of him, Miller, Jeffrey, and Retzlaff.
I would say this second group right now is definitely looking forward to our competition caution, because they actually have had a little bit of pace. Looking at the lap times, they're not too far off of our leader, Connor Berry. But right now, they've just been battling with each other, and that's opened up this gap of about 5 seconds you see in the second pack we're watching right now, Evan. So they'll be definitely looking forward to that competition caution, maybe give them a chance to regroup and go back after the leaders.
And at the end of lap number 6, the competition caution has come out. So gives us a good chance to assess what we saw in the first half. Couple of big movers. Miller still the biggest at +6. You can also talk about the losers, though, right? Briley and Grady both started in the top 6 in this feature. Both of those drivers now wrecking out early. I believe Briley's still on track. Grady may be out of it, but they are scored right now in 17th and 18th position. So that is a ton of points thrown away for Trenton Briley and Tom Grady. The biggest story, of course, Briley came into tonight 3rd in the points. It's going to be a big hit for him, especially when you have the likes of Nicholas Dashley and others who are chasing you in the standings, outrunning you in this race. Dashley, 8th on the racetrack, maybe 3rd in the points, but the time of this night is done. Lined up, though, single file on the outside for the restart. 8 laps to go, and it's a healthy margin for Connor Berry. Bergeron looks to the inside, but the top 3 get that space again early.
You mentioned it, Evan. That top 3 really got out to an early advantage there. Now it's about a 2-3 truck length back to Cryer in that 4th spot. And that second pack is starting to form again. You see what kind of pile into that hairpin turn there, and you see Winkler gets pushed wide there. A lot of drivers, I think, are starting to get frustrated with that turn, Evan. A lot of argy-bargy going on in there, a lot of doors being thrown. It is one of the places where these drivers do have to slow down the most on this racetrack, coming right out of a jump, but we've seen a lot of contact there this evening.
And I bet we're not done with it yet. Look at that slide to the inside. Bergeron tries the Hail Mary slide job, but Connor saw it coming, and Bergeron swings to the outside, and now he has opened himself up for fire. Here comes Retzlaff, the O2 truck, trying to minimize Connor Berry's impact on his championship lead, but Alex Bergeron not going to roll over, and this is a physical battle for second. Sliding through inside, Retzlaff has got it just as quickly, though. Bergeron back underneath, contact on the tabletop.
Bergeron and Retzlaff have just been throwing, side by side, trading crossovers with each other there. You saw them going through that last corner as well. And when Bergeron first threw that move on Berry, I thought that was kind of dooming him. I thought he was going to lose a lot more positions than that. Really good job by him to stay in that second position. You see how big of a gap now that Berry has been able to open up because of that move, but good job by Bergeron to stay in the second spot.
And while they were throwing haymakers at each other, Connor Berry had to be very aware to avoid the first one. But then after that, they really started going at it for second, and it's allowed him to pull away to a 1.6-second advantage between first and second on and back. Not that he's going to slow it down. You can see he's still using the berm, keep the speed through, now down to turn number 2. But the margins between 1, 2, and 3 even, because Retzlaff's significantly far off the bumper of Alex Bergeron. This is some of the most spread out racing we've seen in the top 3 so far tonight, but it's not spread out behind them. How about Keith Jeffrey? He is pushing his way through, and it's Jeffrey, Miller. They're beating and banging. That's the battle for P4.
Miller is going to go to the outside, or sorry, the inside here with force Jeffrey to the outside, but Jeffrey does get a lot of momentum here off the outside of the corner, is able to race him back into this hard braking zone, Evan. And one thing I did want to point out here about this turn is that you see Barry there had a 1.5-second lead over Bergeron. Bergeron was almost able to get to his back bumper when they went into that hairpin there, so you still leave yourself open for a full send move even with a 1.5-second lead here.
Trying to keep the repertoire open. Here comes the challenge on the inside. Jeffrey tries to put the move on Miller. Miller sees it coming almost 3 wide for a moment as Bodie Cryer wants to get in, and a bad landing for Keith. Jeffrey came down on top. Tyson Miller takes a swing at him that time. And let's see if Bodie Cryer can sneak into the mix here. Going to be 2 laps to go the next time by. And this battle for 4th on back is the best stuff on track. It is still Connor Berry for the race lead. You're watching a battle for 4, 5, and 6, and now maybe even a battle for P2 because Retzlaff is reeling back in Alex Bergeron. Too many battles to watch at 2 to go.
Bodie Cryer's being too nice right now. He's kind of hanging back and letting these two guys battle for this position right here. But Bodie has had the shot many times, I believe, in my opinion, to sneak down below both of them and get a 2-for-1 pass here. I understand you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're possibly in an accident, but there's 2 laps to go here, Evan. I think you got to be aggressive if you're that 05 truck.
You got to decide how aggressive do you want to be, and, you know, is it really worth it to not? Looking up front, though, the battle for second, that was a real aggressive drive for Alex Bergeron. He tried to get back to the O2 machine, but Retzlaff moved him out of the way, made the spot now almost 4 wide behind them as the white flag is in the air up front for Barry. That's the fight for 4th again. The 940 Miller in the middle. It's to the inside. Jeffrey to the outside. Cryer Dashley behind. The 940 swings wide, and now the advantage goes to Jeffrey. More contact. Second to last corner. Up front, Connor Berry. A dominant feature race win at Wild Horse Pass. Retzlaff holds off Bergeron for second, and for the battle 4th on back, Keith Jeffrey outlasts the absolute swarm. What a second half to that race.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Evan. That battle between Jeffrey, Dashley, and Miller, they're all for around that 4th position. Was better almost than anything we've seen all night so far, and you see he's able to hang on to that 4th spot. But Connor Berry, your former Pro 4 world champion, hangs on and wins here for your first each race.
Here's a look at your full race results. Barry, Bergeron, and Retzlaff going to walk away with the podium. Again, Connor Berry will take a chunk out of Parker Retzlaff's championship lead, and he finishes down in 3rd. Jeffrey, Dashley, your top 5. Miller, Cryer, Retzlaff, Waneke, and Winkler, your top 10 finishers. They finish ahead of Miller, MacArthur, Wellhouse, Knowles, Mittag, Grady, and Bierling. Briley at the very bottom of the field in 18th position. That is a look top to bottom at your feature race number 1 full race results. We are halfway through our one and only stop to Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park this season with the virtual off-road racing series. We'll take a quick opportunity to step aside. When we come back, it's feature race number 2.
UMP Modified DLC pack also features the Federated Auto Parts Raceway and I-55 and will be available for digital purchase on the PlayStation and Xbox stores this month.
Conditions off the pavement are always changing, so why settle for a light bar that just turns on and off? The Rigid Adapt is a revolutionary new light bar that will automatically select from 8 beam patterns that range from a widespread 90-degree flood to a 15-degree spot based on your vehicle's speed. Try that with your knockoff light bar. A dash-mounted controller allows the user to toggle between adaptive mode, beam patterns, and RGBW accent lighting. With Adapt, it's easier than ever to own the night.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that Makoni Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Five Flags Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at Makoni Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, Makoni Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to MakoniSetupShop.com and learn why Makoni Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at Makoni Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
And back live from iRacing's virtual Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park in Maricopa County, Arizona, as Racecraft TV's continuing coverage of the virtual off-road racing series Pro 4 Championship continues here tonight in week number 4. It is our one and only stop here in Chandler, and after a wild opening half of the evening, it has been Connor Berry chipping in to the championship lead of Parker Retzlaff, and notably, issues for Trenton Briley means that Nicholas Dashley also chipping away at third. We may see a big shakeup towards the top of the standings. It'll all come down to what happens here in feature race number 2, which is next.
Not only that, but Parker Retzlaff also got some all-important points there as well. So really a tough night for Trenton Briley. You saw him get into an incident early. Really wasn't any fault of his own, just the kind of hectic turn one action we see here at this racetrack. So he's really going to look for a second or a strong second feature race here, try to bounce back and make some of those points back, Evan.
It is going to be about maybe damage limitation. Now, of course, the interesting thing as we head into the second half of the afternoon here is the first feature race that we saw tonight. Remember, those positions were all based on finishing from earlier through the heat races, through the LCQs. That's going to be a little bit different here. Now, a fast truck's a fast truck. I'm not going to suggest we're going to see anything crazy here, Ian, but starting positions for the second feature going to be based on a brand new 5-minute qualifying session that goes hot now. So maybe some of the drivers who felt like they got bogged down in the midfield from, a poor run in their heat or in an LCQ. Now's the time to step up to the plate, put a heater down, help yourself out with some track position to make your life a little bit easier headed into this second of 2 feature.
But as you mentioned, though, Evan, a fast truck is a fast truck, so it wouldn't surprise me all too much if we didn't see, Connor Berry at the top of our board again with some of our leaders that we saw in the beginning of our first feature race and just through the evening so far be at the top of the board again. But yeah, possibly an opportunity for some of these drivers to go in, maybe try something a little bit different with the setup. Or anything like that, or maybe just a new line through qualifying this time around to try to see if they can give themselves a better time. But you mentioned it, it's going to be for all important track position in our second feature race.
There's a look on board with Connor Berry, the man that everyone's going to be watching for, a winner from feature race number 1, looking to go for another perfect evening if he can. Of course, those have been big over the course of the year. A max points night. Connor Berry, of course, was also real good in qualifying earlier in the evening. Got that spot on the front row, courtesy of a pole and open queue, and of course the eventual race win when he got through into his heat race, which was very dominant for him. Also, again, going to see the same 17 trucks from earlier, missing one that may jump in here, but there's also no second opportunity for the 10 drivers we sent home, which is another important thing, because every time you miss out on a feature, you're not missing out on one race, you're missing out on 2. And that's why really anybody who wants to fight for a top spot in the championship has to qualify, I think, for the feature basically every single week.
And it's just another unique format. Concern we have here in the virtual off-road racing series is you have those double features. Kind of reminds you of those double motos when you go to some motocross events around the country, Evan, and kind of take that over here into the off-road racing circuit. And yeah, you mentioned it, all the drivers that don't make this feature, obviously you're not going to make the second feature as well, so you're missing out on a lot of points there as well. Plus, I think these drivers, they just like driving, Evan. You want to be out there and you want to know that your name is in the feature, maybe, even get on Racecraft TV a little bit, but there's a little bit of pride that goes along with it as well.
There certainly is, and again, these are fast laps. Everybody, with the exception of 2 trucks, sub 36-second lap times right now. Connor Berry, top of the board. You take a look at your Racecraft TV scoring pylon, left-hand side of your screen. Knowles and Miller looking for a little bit more. Still waiting on lap times from MacArthur, Pryor, and Weineke, as I think that was Winkler or Wellhouse that put a lap in, jumped up on the board. But Bergeron's right there, Retzlaff right there within a 1/10 of a second as well. So it looks like those front 2 rows going to be very familiar if those hold. Of course, 2 minutes left on the board. That's at least an opportunity for 3 more tries.
And one interesting thing that this does do for our drivers is you mentioned that our earlier feature spots are based on where you finish in the heats and the LCQs. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but if you're one of these drivers, maybe a Zach Knowles, who finished back towards the back of their LCQ, so they found themselves back towards the field, but you had a faster truck, now's your opportunity to qualify up towards the front of the field, earn some points that way.
He's hoping to turn this one around and get a good points haul out of it. Again, you need to really score solid points in 5 of the 6 weeks, realistically, if you're going to be involved in this championship. And again, somewhat surprised, but also not at all shocked, right? The fact that we've all the way through 4 weeks now, 4 rounds of this championship. That's now the 8th feature of the season about to get underway. And guys like Retzlaff and Berry for the title lead, only 6 points apart, and a lot of single-digit differentials from there. Your top 5 all within 40 points of each other, so still absolutely wide open. Of course, if you're enjoying the action tonight, want you to join us as the season starts to get to its penultimate time. You got Bark River coming up, a couple of weeks off, and then December the 7th, we return to where things started, and we get double feature night at Bark River, and then a week after, December the 14th, from the Big House, Crandon International Off-Road Raceway is where we will crown the 2022 Virtual Off-Road Racing Series Pro 4 champion. So make sure you keep it locked here on Racecraft TV throughout the rest of not only the VOR season, but all of the other great off-road action happening from across the iRacing world. We were missing a driver. That driver has since joined, so we will have a full 18 truck field. Rules stay the same. Going to be 15 laps plus that competition caution in the middle, which tends to always be the biggest talking point.
Always be the biggest talking point. I'm excited to see what these drivers can do with the initial start as well, Evan. We've seen how much calamity that turn 1, that berm is on that right-hand side of that start for these drivers. I'm interested to see what they'll do this time around in the second feature.
Well, the clock winds down on qualifying, so let's take a look at your starting grid for feature race number 2, and Connor Berry picking up where he left off, pole position at a 35.433. Alex Bergeron in the mix. He'll start in second. Parker Retzlaff finds himself on third for the second time in a row. He'll be alongside the 23 Nicholas Dashley on row 2. Keith Jeffrey will start fifth alongside P6 to the 013 of Aiden Berling.
7th place will be Trenton Briley, looking to bounce back from his first feature race, and to his outside will be Tyson Miller in the 90 truck at 8th. Drake Matog in the 518 will be rolling off 9th, with Nicholas Wellhouse to his outside in the 18th and 10th. Tom Grady in the 535 will be 11th, and Cody Retzlaff is your 12th place driver in the 525, Evan.
Cody Cryer's got a little bit of work to do down in 13th position, trying to make up some points and get into the top 10 of the championship standings. You got Sean Winkler in 14th. Terry Miller is 15th alongside with Cody Wadecki in 16th position. Don MacArthur is 17th, and Zach Knowles will roll from the number 18 spot as we pace around this 5-turn, 0.60 mile dirt off-road track located in Chandler, Arizona. Give it the final time we drop the green flag here at Wild Horse in 2022. Pace cars off and away, this time through. Barry going to be on the inside in the run down to turn number 1. It is he and Alex Bergeron side by side on the front row as we say, let's go racing in feature race number 2. Clean up front. Barry gets the jump he wanted. Bergeron under fire. Retzlaff aggressive early. He'll look to the inside. First hairpin. Lots of contact in the midfield around P6.
Lots of contact in the midfield, and really all these drivers trying to figure it out before they're behind this forced pack of about 5 trucks. Looks like Jeffrey there is sideways, and a lot of carnage. Some contact in the back of the field there. One truck on its side for a little bit. Everybody trying to figure it out, and we'll stay racing here, Evan. Obviously no yellows to worry about, but that was some calamity there in that corner.
No surprise, it doesn't happen in turn number 1. It'll happen in turn number 2. I think that's about the expectation. Look at this, using each other up in the battle for what is 5th and 6th spot there, as that was Berling and Jeffrey all over each other. Right behind them, you've got Aiden Berling now going to the outside of Tom Grady. Behind them, Tyson Miller watches on, 4th truck in this pack, but look what it's doing. Those top 4 have absolutely checked out again. The aggressive calamity in the midfield gives your race leaders tons of space to breathe with.
And that's just continuing the trend that we've seen all night long so far, Evan. You mentioned it, that any time that these mid-pack drivers here get kind of working together here, working against each other a little bit, it lets the leaders here, this group of 4, just kind of break away from the rest of the pack now. And if you're one of those drivers in that second pack, I think what you're trying to do right now is do all you can to break away from that group of drivers and then just put yourself out in your own little island. You see Keith Jeffrey trying to do that right now, but just can't quite get away from Grady and Berling right now.
It's just unable to find the separation right now, and it kind of looks like its own battle for the race lead. But again, it's some nearly 5 seconds off of the actual leaders, as it is Barry, Bergeron, Retzlaff, and Dashley. 1, 2, 3, and 4. A healthy, dare I say, comfortable margin for the one car. Connor Berry up with the race lead. Bergeron, a little bit more pressure from behind for Retzlaff, but nobody's really breathing down each other's neck right now. It looks close when they throw it into the corner every time, but again, most of those are just kind of late moves to keep the pressure on. These top 4 seem to be pretty even and almost, I think, ordered appropriately in terms of the speed that we're seeing out of them right now. Already on lap number 5, though, so that competition yellow going to be halfway away. And side by side for 5th, I saw way down the road a bit of a challenge. It's gone now, but Jeffrey has it. He was holding off a swing to the inside from Grady, who couldn't make it stick. Right here is where you might see a Hail Mary pass, trying to get 1 extra before the comp yellow, because no surprise, the midfield is tight.
Midfield's tight, and yeah, you mentioned it. Track position has just been an absolute premium. It's up to this point so far this night, Evan, and Connor Berry just ran the fastest 2 laps of the race back-to-back there for the past 2 laps, so it's really going to be difficult if you're one of these drivers to really catch Connor Berry. So at this point, you're just trying to see what positions can I grab here, maybe even before the competition caution, or before the end of the night tonight to just get myself some points.
Trying at this point to maybe minimize damage even, as Connor Berry is going to come through the final corner, turn number 4. And the competition caution is out. A little bit close there, admittedly. Just about landed on some of those barriers right by the flag stand. And we've seen drivers get caught off by those before, but it is not over the line. And Connor Berry, dare I say again, cruising to the success early in this second feature. Had a lot more pressure than that the first time around, but I wonder if Connor Berry's just got this place figured out. He looked really good that time.
What place does Connor Berry really not have figured out, Evan, honestly, when it comes to these short course races? It seems like anytime he shows up, it's pretty much a night domination like we've seen tonight, and he only has a few more laps here to hang on to get the sweep of the night for himself this evening from the wild from here. And yeah, I don't see any reason why it would stop for the rest of the season. I mean, if you're one of these drivers that are behind him, you got to try to do something different when we go back to green flag racing here.
Well, let's see what that solution may be. It'll be a restart with 8 laps to go. Berry's going to go to the outside, then point and shoot off at turn 4. Green flag back in the air in feature race number 2 here at Wild Horse. Again, though, those barriers tripped them up a little bit on the tabletop. Bergeron looking to the inside. Real aggressive stuff. Now, as they go down to turn number 2, looking to the inside is Bergeron. They'll make contact for the race lead, but Berry shakes that one off for now.
More contact than that to really phase Berry here. He'll go back and try to go on the other side of the door here, but the problem is every time that Bergeron gets to Berry's door like that, Evan, he's on the wrong side for the next turn. You see now the left-hander here. Even Retzlaff is able to get to the underside of Bergeron and fight for him for that second place now.
And Berry knows that so well. And now look at this 3 wide for the race lead. Here comes Retzlaff. He'll put Berry up against the fence. Contact as they race down the back half of the racetrack. Now into turn number 2, 4 wide for a moment. And those extra trucks made things interesting. And we have got a battle for the win on our hands. Retzlaff finally breaks free of second, and now he is going to take the fight to race leader Connor Berry.
Berry got through there, and also Dashalet got through there as well. But how about the move on the high side for Connor Berry coming down this straightaway? They're going to come around now. Went to almost all the way on the fence there to get in front of Retzlaff. A little bit of a tank slapper coming back to him there as they head back into this hairpin corner there. We've seen so many problems here tonight, but able to hang on to Retzlaff right now, and Dashalet able to sneak his way up there.
Yeah, Dashalet has started this race up and in the number 4 spot, trickled back a little bit earlier, now trying to claw his way back into the conversation at a race high P3 as they run right now, and maybe it is going to be the 1, 2, 3 pull away, 5 laps to go at Wild Horse Pass. I think Berry appreciating that things have calmed down for a moment. Now remember, when Retzlaff was in 3rd, he couldn't keep up with Connor Berry on the first stint. Things got a bit crazy. He got some track position. Now that he has the positioning, can he find the speed to get a real serious run at the 1 truck?
The track is changing a little bit too, Evan, and that might be playing into Retzlaff's driving style just a tiny bit here, because you mentioned it. Ever since the second half of this race, he's had something there for that 1 truck. You saw the move he made here in the turn 1 to slide all the way in front of Berry. We'll see if he makes another one of those moves right now, but you mentioned that they're running about identical lap times right now. Actually, Retzlaff was faster that time by.
Faster in favor of Retzlaff means that we may still have a chance for a bit of a late surprise and maybe a bit of an upset, because it has been Connor Berry's night at Wild Horse. He was on pole and qualifying earlier. 1 is heat, 1 feature race 1, has led every lap in this one. Is that going to continue all the way through the checkered flag? The 2-car Retzlaff still holding strong at 3 truck lengths off. You can see they both pulled a bit of an advantage as Nicholas Dashalet now 1.3, 1.4 seconds behind in 3rd. And I think Retzlaff gave up a little bit of time there as you see some of the other battles going on. How about Bodie Cryer side by side in a fight with Trenton Briley right now? That one for P6 and 7.
two teammates there getting together a little bit. They'll give each other a little bit of room there, but this is still a fight for position, and both of them won it quite a bit there. Cryer is not going to give this position away easily there. You see him make the move there to slide in front of his teammate, and he'll continue to battle here with 3 laps to go, but it's all Connor Berry at the front right now. Retzlaff looking to get a little bit of a move on him here, but Connor Berry keeps ticking off the fastest lap of the race every single lap here.
And Connor Berry has locked things down. Again, you can get under his skin a little bit when you put things 3-4 wide. He can't be as precise, which really is in his wheelhouse, but you give him a little bit of an opportunity to get some gap, and he can take the corners how he likes, and doesn't need to modify his line to be defensive. And Connor Berry can rip it around any track on the surface. He'll come off of 4, looking for the white flag. 1 lap to go in the second feature of the night.
Yeah, and we do have the lap truck here of Keith Jeffrey. Might be a little bit of a factor here getting to the checkered flag. I don't think so, though. And, the Jim Beaver affiliation that both of these drivers have, I don't think that you'll see Jeffrey holding up Connor Berry here at all.
Let's see how Connor Berry can execute the final couple of corners. Keith Jeffrey, I think, may be too far ahead to matter, and it'll be one more look, swinging to the inside into 4. Jeffrey yields to the outside, and what a statement night for Connor Berry. Checkered flag, he sweeps everything at Wild Horse Pass.
Really just a dominating drive from Connor Berry, too, and putting everybody on notice for the rest of the season that, hey, I may miss a week and I may not be here to fight every single week, but I'm still the truck to beat. And he really showed us that here today with, you mentioned it, just the absolute sweep of the evening.
He had the challenge, but in the end, to the tune of nearly 1 second, Connor Berry, doing a bit of a celebratory freestyle, wins the second feature ahead of Parker Retzlaff in second and Nicholas Dashley in third. We'll try to get a word with both of them in just a little bit. Tom Grady, Aiden Burling, Trenton Briley, Cody Wannicky, Drake Matag, you got Bodie Cryer, and Tyson Miller in the top 10.
From there, you got Don MacArthur, who finished 11th, Sean Winkler, Cody Retzlaff, Nicholas Wellhouse, and Keith Jeffrey riding out your top 15. Keith Jeffrey finishes 2 laps down. And then back from here, Bergeron, Miller, and Knowles rounded out your 18-car field.
So look top to bottom at your full race results tonight from Arizona's Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. Another well-fought battle, another consequential one in terms of the championship. Remember, we talked coming into tonight that the advantage was in favor of Parker Retzlaff by 6, but he gets bested by 2 positions in a feature race number 1 and just 1 single position in a feature race number 2, meaning that one going to be tighter than ever as we are 2/3 now of the way through this season. It'll be just 2 weeks left. Of course, some time off, and now the gamesmanship can begin because, again, we're going to circle back to some of the racetracks that we've been to already in Bark River and Crandon. But a great night. Trying to get a word with some of the drivers. I think Connor Berry is ready and standing by with us trackside. He is your race winner tonight at Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. Connor, a great night for you. You take both of the features. How does that feel after coming into tonight a little bit behind Parker in the points?
For sure. It feels good. I had to miss round I think it was round 3, so I knew I had to win tonight if I wanted to stay in this championship fight. So I was pretty confident about it here, as this is my favorite track on the sim. So I knew I just had to be smart and smooth, and I got it done with qualifying first for both and taking home the win.
I was just about to ask you about this racetrack because this is one that kind of gets forgotten about sometimes, right? I mean, a lot of people like to talk about Crandon. You hear a lot about Bark River. Wild Horse gets this one single date on the calendar. We talked early in the broadcast about if this is a racetrack you like, you really need to execute. You did exactly that. What is it about this racetrack that you like so much?
It's very just it's very just kind of like tough because it's always just like tight, and it's just like it's a very aggressive track, which means it needs a very aggressive, I guess, a driving style. So I feel like I I fit that, and it's for sure a good track for me in the Pro 4 World Championship. I was able to qualify first here for both, so I knew I would have some speed. And the second main, it got pretty crazy, but I knew if I could just be smart and smooth that I could still win it, and I did.
Well, now we're going to go back to a couple of tracks we've seen already. It starts after like 3 weeks off. At the start of December, we're going to go to Bark River. That's a racetrack that you've won at. I mean, you've raced thousands and thousands of laps at all of these tracks. So when you go back to one for a second time within a single season, how much do you lean on what happened the first time out to kind of formulate what your strategy is going to be?
For sure. It is always good to know what we need to do, and what we need to fix going into it. The first time at Bark River, I got first to second main and second to third one, so our speed isn't the best, but we have, I think, 4 weeks to find some speed, and I hope to win both and have a good shot at this championship going into Crandon, which will just be insane as the starts are pretty crazy, and it's going to take a lot of things to go right for it to get done.
It certainly will, Connor. We'll let you get out of here and celebrate while we have you, though. Anybody you want to say hi to?
Sure, I want to give a big thanks to Jim Beaver Esports, CBR, General Tire, Positive Energy, Chief for all of his help. We've been putting in a lot of time for VORs, and it showed tonight. I think he got 4th in the first one, and he was in 3rd before he got wrecked in main 2. So it is good, and a big thanks to Josh and all of you guys for this stream.
We appreciate you putting on a show and giving us some time, Connor. Congratulations on the win. Enjoy a few weeks off, but we'll catch you when we go racing at Bark River.
Thank you.
It's your race winner tonight for the virtual Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. It's Connor Berry's night. Parker Retzlaff picks up a lot, though, keeps it tight, and Eni comes home with a 3rd and a 2nd in the features. You're with him.
No, and Evan mentioned it just right there, Parker, a 3rd and a 2nd. So a decent run out of the 0-2 machine, the 0-2 team this evening. But what were you guys missing? Just that little bit of speed to catch Connor Berry out there tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think we lacked a little bit of just speed, just overall speed. And I think we came into the race knowing that we needed a little bit more to compete with Connor. And I came in thinking that we were the second best truck. And I think we definitely were the second best truck. You got really brutal there with at the beginning, just, I don't know, just people over driving and everything. And both the main events, I think it would have been just a good battle if me and Connor could have started side by side. But it was overall a really good night. Just stay consistent all season, and maybe we'll have something for Connor in the championship at the end of the year.
Well, you talk about that championship. You did come in with the lead this evening. Obviously, tonight's going to make things a little bit closer. Does this change your mindset or your mentality going into the rest of these races at all?
Nah, I mean, you can't just think about it at this point. We just got to keep focused forward and just keep trying to bring the best trucks we can, and try and keep being better every week. I mean, we haven't been into this very long with everyone that I have around me, but we've been trying to build off of what we have every week. So I feel like we're getting closer and closer to figuring out what we need. So I just got to thank everybody that helps me, from everyone at Team Rogue and Vicente for putting in so many hours with me today on this truck to try and get better, and everyone else that works with me. And I know my parents are watching, so I want to say hi to them, and Funkaway, Ponzi, you guys are putting this on, and everyone else who supports me.
Well, we appreciate you taking some of your time, Parker, to come up here and talk to us in the Racecraft TV booth. Congratulations on your second place finish, and we'll let you get going.
Thank you, guys.
That was Parker Retzlaff, able to finish second here tonight, Evan. Really looking forward, though, to getting back to Connor Berry next week and fighting back in that championship battle.
It's going to be fun to watch those two continue to go back and forth. And another driver who made big gains tonight was Nicholas Dashley. Nicholas, you come home 3rd in this second feature. So first and foremost, congratulations on that. But You know, you came in trailing Trenton Briley in the points by 14. You beat him in both of the features, so this was a big night for you.
Yeah, it was a huge night for me. It was an eventful race, crazy race. After that comp yellow in that second race, when Lear started getting into it, I was trying to stay out of it as best I could, but the opportunity opened up, and I was able to sneak up to third.
A lot of drivers have given us their thoughts on Wild Horse, one of the two tracks that we only get to go to once. It obviously worked into your driving style quite well for the success you found tonight. What are some of the unique quirks about this place that you had to learn to get fast at and good tonight?
Well, some of the stuff that I've been working on, I've been grinding laps all week. Just making sure your entry and exit is perfect at this track is pretty key, and just making sure you have the correct throttle control getting off the corner so you get that run down the straightaways.
As you look to continue those moves forward in the championship, with a chance to take over third out of tonight, we circle back to where things all started, right? A double date at Bark River, a double date back at Crandon for the championship. You already know how those races went. You maybe have been able to pick out some of the strengths and the weaknesses for your competitors. So having a lot of momentum out of tonight, you almost wish we were going and racing to Bark River next week. I mean, you guys got to wait 3 weeks to do it.
Tomorrow night, I wish to race Bark River because that's one of my favorite. Yeah, one of my favorite tracks right there, and I feel like I can contend again for a podium in the first part of December.
Well, we're looking forward to watching that one, Nicholas. We'll let you jet out of here, though, before the night gets too late. Before we do those sponsors and shout-outs, all those good folks, who makes it happen for you?
I'd like to thank Legion Speed Sport, Plum, Terry, Tom, Tyson Miller, Factory Sim Sport, Keaton, Crystal, all them guys, Arrowhead Property Maintenance, Falcon Tire, Honig Painting, just everyone. And thanks to Josh and you guys for putting this on. It's been fun.
We appreciate your time, Nicholas. Congratulations on a great result here tonight.
Thank you.
It's Nicholas Dashley, a couple of good finishes consecutively, and he may have taken over the number 3 spot in the championship after Trenton Briley struggled with a couple of slower, I think, results and mainly contact in that first feature race of the night. Picked up a little bit. He's able to bounce back and steal some of those points back here second time around. But it is a night of change, Ed, which isn't always the case when you get 4 weeks in into this championship, and it's not going to be changed when we come back next time because it's going to be our second time of the year at Bark River. It seems like everybody's looking forward to it, so something's going to have to give because they can't all find success with Amigo Racing there for round number 5.
Well, I'm looking forward to it as well, Evan, but I'm a little bit biased. Obviously, in my home state of Michigan is where you find Bark River, so I'll be excited to have a little bit of a quote-unquote home race for myself here. But yeah, you kind of talk to everybody all throughout the garage. They absolutely love this place, so it's going to be one of the drivers that can break through, and I guess one at the most at that point when all these drivers just love to go to Bark River. And then once we go to Crandon, it's just going to be more of the same, Evan.
And we cannot wait to close out this 2022 championship with you all. But until next time, that'll do it for us here tonight from Chandler, Arizona's Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. So I have our entire team here at Racecraft TV for all our sponsors and partners who make things possible here, as well with the virtual off-road racing series. I want to thank all of them and also appreciate all of you tuning in. On behalf of your broadcast team tonight, for our producer downstairs, Joshua Lee, for Ian Fisher and myself, Evan Pasoko, we say congratulations. It was Connor Berry's night, and he has made a big statement in the championship. Enjoy a couple of weeks off because when we come back, it is going to be hot and heavy with the title on the line. We are back on December 7th for the virtual Bark River Raceway, that race and every race. The virtual off-road racing series can be found exclusively here on Racecraft TV. Till next time, good night from Wild Horse. We'll catch you in the Wolverine State next time out.